As large language models evolve, they are moving beyond simple data retrieval. They are beginning to replicate the statistical signatures of what we have traditionally called original thought. To determine if a machine can synthesize a genuinely new idea, researchers in 2026 engineered a psychological stress test designed to find the limits of machine logic. Conducted at the University of Montreal, this study compared the world's most advanced generative models against an enormous human sample of 100,000 people. The methodology was guided by deep learning pioneers, including Yoshua Bengio, ensuring the data met a rigorous scientific standard. The results revealed an immediate shift in the creative landscape. On tasks measuring linguistic divergence, the AI systems consistently outscored the typical human participant. For the average person, the gap between human and machine imagination has effectively closed. Quantifying imagination presents a significant mathematical hurdle. How do you measure the distance between two ideas? The researchers used a tool developed at the University of Toronto called the Divergent Association Task, or DAT. The rule is simple but difficult to execute. A participant must name 10 words that share no conceptual relationship with one another. A successful response forces concepts into isolated corners of language, linking unrelated nouns like galaxy, fork, and harmonica. Humans struggle with this because our brains are built to find patterns. We naturally look for the shortest logical path between concepts, which makes forced divergence mentally exhausting. An artificial neural network lacks this biological bias. It can traverse linguistic distances by calculating the lowest possible probability of a conceptual match. Without the instinct to cluster ideas, models like GPT-4 generated word lists that were statistically more varied than those of the average human subject. This wasn't limited to word lists. When the test expanded into writing haikus, movie plot summaries, and short stories, the AI continued to match or exceed the human baseline. The researchers found they could tune this performance using a technical setting called temperature. At a low setting, the outputs are conventional and predictable. But as the dial turns up, the internal logic of the model begins to loosen. High temperature settings force the system to bypass the most probable associations. It begins to make exploratory leaps, mimicking the process of radical human inspiration. The team further amplified this by using prompts focused on etymology, forcing the AI to break words down into their historical roots and find connections that are invisible to the casual speaker. The result is a mathematical framework that consistently outimagines the average person. While machines beat the average human, the dynamic shifts at the upper percentiles. At the top 50%, the AI advantage disappears. Isolate the top 10% and the relationship flips. Against peak creative minds, AI suffers a crushing defeat, flatlining below human ingenuity. Predictive models are limited by their training data, only recombining existing concepts. Human storytelling relies on lived experience and emotion, variables unmappable for any algorithm. The data suggests that AI has reached a ceiling. It can mimic the average human thought process, but it cannot spark peak imagination. These findings suggest that the technology is not on a path toward replacing the human creator. Generative networks function as amplifiers, extending the creative range of the person directing them. By offloading predictable, low-level ideation to the machine, the human mind is free to focus on the deep conceptual work that remains beyond the reach of the code. The Montreal study indicates the upper limits of creative synthesis remain tied to human biological experience. Now that the machine can execute the ordinary, we have a clear mandate. We are forced to be exceptional.